What's going on, YouTube? This is Squids. How's everybody doing today? Today we got our first taste of the spring 2023 lineup with Jigokuraku, our in the English name I believe is Hell's Paradise. What a start to the spring season. I was really looking forward to this when I heard it was getting announced, considering Mappa was doing this, and I mean they just did Chainsaw Man, which was out of this world. So I had high expectations, especially kind of just reading the synopsis and the genres, considering it's an action, fantasy, gore, historical. Good shit. That's like my favorite type of like genre that really just hits hard, especially like Tower of God or let me think of something here. Blade of the Immortal, stuff like that. That's set in like the Edo and like just older periods of Japan. I think is really neat. But that's enough of that talk. Let's talk about the episode here. I know we got an intro. The song's called "Work" by Millennium Parade and Shino Ringo, and holy crap, dude, that song is. It knocks you into freaking overdrive. Just gets you freaking pumped to watch this episode and series that we are just now getting started with. And right off the bat, we see our MC, Gabimaru, and he is pretty much being sentenced to death. They're going to chop his head off with a katana while, you know, he's just chilling there. And we don't know why exactly. But he tries to chop his head 4 times and his head will just not come off. And he keeps telling, us within like the first 10 seconds, like he's like, why won't I die? Which is a good indicator that he must have something going on in his life. And the next scene, we see him in a jail cell, pretty much being interrogated or questions, I guess, by Yamada. And from what we know from her at this point in the story, she is pretty much just writing down everything that he can tell her about his history, because she's quote unquote, like one of those people that collects all that knowledge and everything. But we come to find out that he learned all these assassin techniques from this village that he is in. That is a bunch of shinobi, and they're pretty much invincible when they want to be. And considering he broke that katana blade earlier that was trying to slice his neck in half with just his neck, and he didn't even use his ninjutsu, it looked so nice. So like right after that, we get to the next execution-esque type of style where they tie him up to a stake and try lighting him on fire, but right before they even try lighting him on fire, they try stabbing him with a spear, which does not work. And right after that, we're back in the jail cell again, except all his clothes are burnt off. And he keeps trying to tell this lady that he's not trying to resist, even though, like, she keeps telling him he is definitely trying to resist dying because he hasn't accepted it yet. And so he kind of tells her his backstory a little further so she can understand. And we find out that, like, when he was a kid, the village chief ended up killing his parents, and they took him in. And he just did what they told him. And he's just murdering people left and right. The scenes with the skulls, he's just holding a bunch of skulls, there's blood dripping down, is so eerie and gruesome. The way they just make everything with the color schemes pop like they should, how he's, like white or shiro, and the backgrounds are all dark and foggy. It's pretty substantial, I think, to how it's going to play out and how it's trying to portray itself into the world that we're getting into. And right after that, she pretty much asks him why he tried to leave in the first place, and he's like, just to get out of that lifestyle, which we can kind of tell at this point she's digging into him to kind of really find out, and we know it's a lie on his end too, but he still hasn't admitted it yet. So we get to the next way of trying to kill this man. So they tie 2 oxen to him and try to split him in half. And the oxen legitimately like die from trying to pull this man. Like they literally die from exhaustion, which is a pretty neat scene. And then he tells the lady Yamada more about what actually, how he met his wife, and he says he got fed up with her. But we get these visions of him pretty much getting kicked out of the village because of this fact of him saying he's fed up with his wife, but she still doesn't believe it. And so Yamada's walking away later into the night because it cuts scenes again, and he's like, I'm surprised you're just getting as close to him. You don't know much about him. And she's like, well, he's just a shinobi, But he's like, no. His nickname was Gebimaru the Hollow because he's dead inside. And so right after that, she gets thinking again and meets up with him. And she still is telling him that she does not believe that he wants to die. Cut to the next murder trial. Not murder trial, just essentially execution-esque vibe of trying to stop his life. And they pretty much take oil and combust it all over him. But he walks right out of that fire, just barely scathed. And one of the guys that tries setting it up ends up getting murdered, which is pretty funny. And so they kind of give up. They bring him to this underground place, and he's getting real tired of, them not being able to kill him. Come to find out, when they get to the end, that Yamada is actually a samurai. And she's a sword tester from Edo. She's really good with the sword. She instantly goes to swing at him and pretty much almost cuts Gabimaru's head off. We get this really nice reflection of his face in her blade. That when she pretty much tells him that you're a liar, you pretty much have something to live for, and I can tell it off the reflection of your blade for how many times I've done this, which is really cool. And the fact that she could pick it up, especially from being able to, from doing it so long, it's really neat. And kind of shows the fact that she's not just this basic bimbo. She's actually a smart person that works for her shogun and just does all this work. And I think we're going to learn more about her later on, which I'm really excited for. But she claims right out of the bat that no, you love your wife. It's not because you were running away from your wife. And we get these flashbacks to when he met her and everything, and they moved in together, versus earlier on when he was denying it. And, he did kind of sort of tell the truth, but, you get to the actual real endings of these scenes, and, you find out that the master of the village ended up branding her eye so that nobody would love her for, that. Because in that village, having an ordinary life is not a thing, but that's what she wants, to just get married, which they are, have kids, and just live an ordinary life, but it's just not possible there. So that's why he ran away, to try to get out of there, just free her so they could do that. So it's a really humbling, story, and the way that it's going to set up the plot that's coming here. Because we get this instant letter from her popping it out. And what happens is that the shogun for the district pretty much gives an official pardon out. And he hasn't received it yet, because the conditions are that there's this land where there's no pain and joy, and it's supposedly the afterlife place where they can get these elixirs of life that grants immortality. But they've sent 5 or 6 groups out, and every single time they come back like decaying flowers, and the imagery is freaking fantastic. But in order to do this, she's sending him and a bunch of other criminals out to go try to obtain this elixir, and if you can bring it back, you do get the pardon. And that pardon is also going to give him the grant to steal his wife out of that village, because they can't do anything about it. So what does he do? He agrees to these terms, and he shows her some ninjutsu and takes out that guy's men in half a second. And obviously we didn't get to see too much of it, which really blows, but I'm really excited to see it further on and what it looks like and how he approaches it. But he is gonna come back alive and make sure his wife does come back to him. And that's more than less the end of the episode. Overall, I'd say it was definitely better than 90% of the Winter 2023 season. I enjoyed Winter 2023, about 4 or 5 of the 17 I was watching, and the rest were alright. But this was a great start. I think this one's going to be freaking fantastic, with the fact that he's doing this all for obviously the noble, usual male cause. But from what I've seen from just this first episode, action's going to be great. It's going to be thick. There's going to be tons of characters. Man, I'm pumped. You guys will have to let me know what you guys thought of this episode down in the comments, because this is going to be a good one. Starting next week, I also plan on covering The Ancient Mage's Bride Season 2, and I also really want to cover Megumin and Oshinoko. So we're going to be covering quite a few shows this spring 2023 season and preparing for summer 2023 with Mushoku Tensei and tons of other ones. This is going to be a popping year, and I'm glad to kick it off with everyone here. But with that being said, this has been Squids. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. It means a lot to me. And if you're feeling generous, hit that subscribe button. And if you didn't like it at all, well, thanks for at least coming and making it this far. That means a lot to me. So with that being said, it's been Squids, and I'll see y'all later. Peace.